Okay. Sorry for the confusion. Okay. Let's do a quick sound check. I'm really sorry, guys. There's been a mix-up in the schedule. Are we good? Are we live? Let me check. Okay, sound check. Audio coming in. Okay. I don't know if this is coming through all right. I think there's a bit of a delay on my side. I think I got this connected. Okay. If audio is coming through okay, I'm just really confused right now. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, audio is good. Okay, sorry everyone. Really apology. My deepest apologies for tonight. I think there's been a mix up on the schedule, and I was running late as well. So yeah, just to begin, general advice and risk warning disclaimer. Just note that any advice given here is deemed to be of general nature. The information or advice given does not take into account your particular objective, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, at all times, you should consider the appropriateness of the advice before you act further. CFD and Forex are leveraged products and thus carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for everyone. You can lose more than your initial deposit, so you should ensure CFD and Forex trading meets your investment objectives. Strategies and charts used in this presentation are, for example, only. You are reminded that past performance is not indicative of future performance. Okay, I'm gonna go through very quickly with the session guidelines. I think a lot of people just joined in for the first time on Wednesday. We started it on Friday. Still trying to confirm if we are gonna run this on Wednesday and Friday, or just on Wednesday or just on Fridays. But anyway, just quick session guidelines. All questions are to be in English. This is an English session, so this session will be conducted in English, and please do not spam, because we get this a lot, and it's just an inconvenience for a lot of people that are serious about this. So do not spam. I implore you, please do not spam. Respect one another and be respectful, and please ask relevant questions about the market, or if you want to ask me about the trading tools that I use, feel free to do that. But I want to jump in straight away. I think we're running a bit late on this one here. One concern with pound USD, there's news coming in just now. The EU Council is just they're basically condemning Putin, and then they might do more sanctions. That's why you see a drop in the pound USD and the euro USD. But I want to talk about the pound USD for a little bit. First, inflation year on year just came out. I think it was 6.1. Expected was 5.9. So that was a little bit harder. And right now the concern is, are we going to be seeing a drop in pound USD, or are we going to see a bounce off 1.32? At this point in time, I think the probable outlook is that we're going to be looking at a return towards potentially 1.3150 towards 1.31. One of the few key reasons is that the 4-hourly time frame, this has just come off the overbought. If you take a look at how the trend is going, this is actually this has switched to the uptrend. We see a transition above the Ichimoku cloud on the 4-hourly time frame. Daily, not yet. But if you take a look at the 4-hourly time frame, there's going to be a slight correction here towards 1.31. That's where the Ichimoku cloud is likely going to be. Now, if you take a look at it from the hourly perspective, the area where we are right now, it's very, very thin. So the next 2 hours, there's going to be a lack of support for pound USD. We might see price actually go through that, and so yeah, this point in time, it's a tough call. If you do want to short pound USD at this point in time, it might be a little bit too late, because we're actually in the middle of the range. In terms of resistance, we do have 1.33. We are actually right around the support at 1.32. So I'm just gonna draw that clearly. So we are at 1.32 and we just broke 1.32. We don't technically have a lot of support until about 1.3150 at least. So if you guys are looking for a potential buy, I don't think now is the right time. If you do want to short it right now, remember that your risk is going to be like halfway through it. We're still going to go through with the range, and if you do want to go short right now, your stop losses is going to be way up there, and in terms of target, you are likely going to be looking at about 1.31 until we have further confirmation on the close below 1.32. So pound USD, and we're going to talk about Euro USD in a minute, but pound USD, in terms of risk to reward ratio, I don't think it's that great at this point in time. If you do want to go short on this one, unless you're trading on the 50 minutes or maybe on the 10 minutes or 50 minutes time frame, but if you're doing it on the hourly time frame, one thing of note is that we are actually below 20 on the stochastics. When price is below 20 on the stochastics, you need to be concerned about that, and I can give you a very good example on that, which is the dollar yen. When it goes up above 80, that's where price actually went through 119 and it runs up for about 200 pips to the upside. So a little bit of a concern here with pound USD, as this one is below 20 at this point in time. We could see momentum continue to push down on pound USD. So yeah, EU console. VIX is still quite low right now compared to a few weeks ago. Yes, I think VIX, we don't see a lot of changes. I believe it's still at 22. It was 22 this morning. It's 23 right now. EU console news just came in, so I think this is pretty new. And yeah, in terms of fundamentals from the pound, there's nothing except for the inflation rate year on year, which was a few hours ago, about 5 hours back. So I think that's already been priced into the market. But anyway, yeah, we got stuff from the EU Council, and that's pretty much it. Do we have Powell's speech today? I don't think we have Powell's speech. We already had that on Monday. I believe it was on Monday. I don't think we have anything today. But just let me double check. Pretty sure we don't have anything coming up from FOMC until about May. So yeah, May meeting is probably going to be the one. All right, for pound USD, just to point out, do not be tempted to go short on pound USD. Inflation is still high up. Whatever pull back right now, it's basically a retest of 1.32 because we haven't seen a retest of 1.32 after we break out above 1.32. So this is not tested yet. Even on the 4-hourly time frame, it's not tested. On the hourly time frame, it is being tested right now. So just be a little bit more cautious with this one. Next up is, let's talk about Euro USD. I think there's a lot of focus going on with Euro USD. One of the few key things with Euro USD is that we acknowledge that 1.1125 is a key resistance for Euro USD. We haven't gone back up above 1.1125 right now. Daily wise, we are looking at temporary support at about 1.0950. That's coming in very, very soon. Are we going to hit that? At this point in time, it's a little bit unclear because we don't have a clear confirmation. Look, it's just too late to go short, too early to buy in. I think that's the current situation with anything with pound USD or the Euro USD at this point in time. Just to note here, the Ishimoku cloud is actually very, very thin. So we could see price fluctuate above 1.1 again. We're not really far off. I mean, we haven't broken through 1.0975. So let me just catch a breather here because I was actually rushing home. So yeah. Keynote on the hourly time frame 1.0975. That's what you're gonna watch out for, and if it does break below 1.0975, I think the range is not that huge. We're looking at about 25 pip range towards 1.0950. If you are thinking of going short right now, the risk is just not in your side. It's not on your side at the moment, because if you do want to go short right now, your stop loss is going to be way up there, maybe about 1.05. And you're going to be looking at 1.0950 as a potential target. That's about 36 pip gain for about 65 pips of risk. It's not ideal from a risk to reward perspective, and yeah, most definitely not. Okay, sterling yen. Same situation with the pound USD. This one here, it's been rallying up like crazy. We did break above 158 right now. So if we are going to be looking at a potential pullback on sterling yen, we could potentially see that. And a pullback is going to be about 158, 157. if you take a look at it from the 4-hourly perspective, then we're just waiting for the overbought condition to kick in. On the hourly, that's already kicked in. Is it going to be a hidden bullish divergence or not? That's the question, right? What I'm looking at for yen crosses, there's no denying that risk sentiment has returned to the market. So if we put that in thought, right? I mean, risk sentiment coming back into the market, then yen is just going to get weaker and weaker. It's just that whatever pullback that's happening right now, from a technical perspective, it's considered to be okay. It's just a technical correction. I think we're going to be looking at a potential towards 158 at this point in time. See if it holds at 158. If it does bounce off from 158, I think it's a much better scenario to look into buying in on sterling yen. Is there potential for pound to the upside? I think there's still potential for that to happen. Just to confirm, if we actually bounce off 1.32 for sterling yen, 158, 157. I think we take a look at it from Fibs. Yeah, 61.8 around 158, 78.6 around 157.50. So I think the numbers are right. We're just waiting for a quick test before jumping in. On Monday, inflation was too high and central bank will take necessary steps to ensure a return to price stability. Yes, we're talking about a potential 50 basis point rate hike in May. That's basically what Powell is hinting at. I'm not sure if that's going to go that way, because everyone is priced in for 25 basis points for 6 more hikes this year. So if they do hike by 50, then we might have to cut the forecast by 5 interest rate hikes instead of 6. Okay, so yeah, sterling yen. We'll go back to cable in a minute, but just in terms of sterling yen, just I would be more on the bullish side. I'm just waiting for a little bit more of a pullback. I would want to see a retest of 158 or 157, ideally 158. Then we bounce off 158. I think that would be the best scenario. I'm just really concerned about the 4-hourly time frame, the daily perspective. Are we going to get 158 or are we going to get 157? If that's going to happen today, then that's the ideal scenario. If it dips below 157, we're transitioning below the Ishimoku cloud, and that's going to be a concern on the sterling. Okay, pound USD, upside or not, I'm just really concerned about the lack of support right now for pound USD. So I'm not going to be rushing in too quickly in terms of buying pound USD. I would want price to stabilize or at least closes above 1.32, at least in the next 2 hours or so. We'll take a look at Aussie Yen as well and Euro Yen. Sterling crosses upper 23 Fib and stochastic turn up. It's a bullish sign if it does. Right now we're just waiting for the stochastic to turn. Until stochastics turn, I don't think I'm going to be looking for a buy on pound USD because anything goes. I mean, if you take a look at yen crosses in the past few days, how it stays up above the 80 and then continue to push up. Let me just give you an illustration. So here, just look at it in reverse, okay? But I mean, if you take a look at this one, you see where it transitioned above 80 on the stochastics, and price continued to push up. And we're not talking about some small run or anything like that. We're really looking for a run of about 161 pips. Sorry, about 395 pips. And that's basically just 2 days. I mean, that's 2 days worth of data. If you take a look at the stochastic, that is staying above the 80 level. I don't want a scenario where stochastics just stay below the 20 level and price gets dragged to the downside. So I'm looking for a bullish sign, but I'm waiting for the momentum to turn around and switch to the upside. Until then, it's a huge risk. If you jump in right now, I think it might be reading too early into whatever the market is doing. Okay, so let's take a look at Aussie Yen. So I think on the last outlook we had 2 possible outcome on this one here: a bounce off 88. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 was a bounce off 86.50. We had scenario 1, so I can clear this off. Yeah, so that's all done and dusted with Aussie Yen. Right now we are at 161.8% on the daily. That's a sharp rejection at 90.50. So it's huge, right? I mean, if we take a look at this one here, what are the probable costs of this one turning around? It's a bit tough. The 4-hourly time frame, we're still above the 80 level, so we're gonna focus on the hourly time frame. If the hourly doesn't go any lower than 89.50, then we're looking for more of a continuation to the upside, potentially towards 91. So Aussie Yen, I don't want to go short Aussie Yen. I would prefer to go long Aussie Yen, but I'll wait for edit, around that 89.25, 89.50, and then we're going to be looking at a potential move towards 91. Okay, so is that 89? Yeah, about 89.25 to 89.50. I think that would be the area where you want to look for support. That's going to be where the Ichimoku cloud is. And if you take a look at the stochastics, yeah, I think we might see a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a pullback towards 89.50, 89.25. And if there's any bounces off 89.25 or 89.50, then I'll be looking for a potential buy towards 91. So I think that would be the best scenario for Aussie Japanese yen. So maybe right around there, we're going to be looking at that. In terms of stop losses, we need to have a swing low before we can define our stop losses, but again, we're looking at something below 88.50. Risk reward ratio is still going to be about 2. You're going to be risking about 85 to 100 pips for a potential gain of maybe 150 pips or so for the Aussie Japanese yen. Don't want to go short anything yen at this point in time. Risk sentiment has returned to the market. Whatever FOMC is peddling, I think we're looking at a return of normality into the market. Whatever is going on with Ukraine, Russia, obviously that's still going to have an impact on the market. I don't think we have anything major, but if we do have something major, then risk could just turn around very easily. From a technical perspective or fundamental perspective, I think risk should be returning to the market, and yeah, that's with Aussie Yen. We have already started. How about Aussie Japanese yen? We talk about Aussie Yen. Is selling closes up and stochastic up. It's a bull sign. Potentially, yes. Potentially. Okay. Sorry, I was just rushing through stuff. Let's take a look at Aussie USD. I think this one here is on a lot of people's view as well. If you guys are wondering why Aussie USD is up like that, one of the main driver is nickel. I know it has gone back down a little bit, but if you take a look at nickel prices here, this one spiked up a lot. It was up. Futures contract was up to 55,600. Next contract in front, it was spiking up until about 5,300. So if you're wondering why Aussie USD or Aussie Yen is well supported, it's because of nickel. So that's that. We can talk about nickel maybe some other time, but for now, if you want to focus on the Aussie USD, I think we bypassed a lot of resistances. We got past 74, we got past 74.50. In fact, I think I'll clear off 70. Sorry, I'm gonna keep 74.50. I'm gonna draw a new one at 75. But again, I don't think this is gonna last very long. This is really intermediary. Okay. That's on the daily. We still have momentum to the upside on the Aussie USD. 4-hourly time frame still above the 80, not a problem. The hourly, I really don't want to go short Aussie anything at this point in time. I don't think it's a great time to go short Aussie USD or Aussie Japanese yen. Let's wait for a pullback. Ideally, we want to see price move back towards 74 cents. Maybe 74.25. 74.25 if we have a bounce, or maybe we bounce off 74.50, but I want to see a break above 75 cents before I want to go in long on Aussie USD. But if there's a break above 75, then we're going to be looking for further projections to the upside. In that context, we're going to be looking at the October high. That's about 75.55. Okay, so again, Aussie USD, I think at this point in time, it is a little bit scary if you want to go in long. Long Aussie USD means your stop losses is going to be far away. If you're placing your stop losses at 74.50, that's going to be easily taken out. The closest one you can place in is maybe about 74.25, but ideally you want to have it at about this low here, below 74 cents. In terms of target, you want to be looking at 75, 75.50. That's the approximate range at this point in time. Risk to reward ratio is still close to 1-to-1. If it does break above 75, I think the risk to reward ratio is slightly better because we might have a little bit of a stop loss here, over there, and in terms of target, we're going to be looking at 75. That's gonna give you a much better risk to reward ratio. You're not risking too much. I think about 1-to-1 on risk to reward ratio. So yeah, I think Aussie USD, I'm not gonna be looking for a short, because looking for a short right now is basically a counter trend trade, and I don't do counter trends. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Ichimoku. If you have any questions about any particulars, then we will talk about it, because I did explain a little bit of Ichimoku Cloud. But to go through the whole thing, I don't think it's going to be an easy process. Aussie USD is going up. Is New Zealand USD going to go up to? Yeah, to a certain degree, it's affected. I mean, it's different, right? I mean, we're taking a look at Aussie USD and New Zealand USD. Aussie USD is about to return to 100% high. On New Zealand USD, this is actually it's up. I mean, it is up, but you got to be careful with this one. We are close to that 70 cents mark, 70 cents to 70.50. That's where you want to be careful with New Zealand USD if you have a long position. Ideally, you are definitely going to be careful with that, because that's where the 161.8% extension is for New Zealand USD. Really want to be careful with New Zealand USD at this point in time. On the hourly perspective, are we going to be looking for a potential buy or not? Then, you know, I'm looking at 69. As long as we stay above 69 cents, we're good. I'm not into New Zealand USD. I would prefer to trade Aussie USD. But if you're looking for an opportunity, I think both Aussie USD and New Zealand USD are pretty much on the same line. So, sorry guys. We talk about sterling yen. I haven't talked about euro yen, but we're going to take a look at that. I'll recap sterling yen anyway. So anyway, New Zealand USD, if you're going to be looking for a position with New Zealand USD, this is what I want to see. I don't want to jump in right now. I think it's a little bit too shallow of a correction. We just hit 23.6. I expect a little bit of a move towards 38.2, or maybe about 50%, and then we might bounce off. So if you're looking for an opportunity, make sure price is still above 69 cents. Stochastic turns around or it bounces off Ichimoku Cloud. I think that would be the best scenario for New Zealand USD. Okay. Quick recap of sterling yen. So sterling yen, what I want to see is that I want to see a move back towards 158. The closer it is, the better. It doesn't have to be 158, right? But I mean, ideally, if it does hit 158, I think it's a lot better, because we see a little bit of a correction a little bit of correction once we break above 158. Now, if you're wondering why I put a lot of focus on 158, that's where the high was in February. That's basically a month ago. And if you take a look at that, we just break through it. We haven't had a retest of 158. So I really do want to see a retest of 158. That's number one. The other one is that we will ease off a little bit on the overbought side for sterling yen. I don't want to go short sterling yen. I think going short sterling yen right now has a lot of risk. The market's already gone halfway through. In terms of correction, this is the fib for intraday correction. We're going to be looking at a return towards 61.8 or 78.6%. That's where I'm eyeing out for a bounce. So yeah, sterling yen, I want to go long, but I want to go long closer to 158. Ideally, this is the ideal scenario. Okay, stop losses below 156.50, and in terms of target, I think we can be looking at a new projection, maybe about 162 or 162.50, but just to double check if that's the case. Sorry, yeah, about 162. This is the ideal scenario. If there's a bounce off 158, that's what you're going to be looking for in sterling yen. If you want to be waiting for a trade this week, this could be that trade. Wait for a bounce off 158. We definitely don't want to see sterling yen closes below 157. If sterling yen closes below 157, there's a potential on the medium term trend that's going to shift for a much deeper correction. Okay. So yeah, if it bounces off 158, 157, that's great. If it bounces off 158, that's perfect, because it doesn't close below the Ichimoku Cloud. If it does close below the Ichimoku Cloud, I think there's a lot of risks in it in terms of going long in sterling yen. But right now, it is what it is. It's still above the Ichimoku Cloud. Is there something wrong with the audio, or everything is going okay? Okay, that's sterling yen. We got euro yen. By the way, guys, if you got any requests, feel free to type it in. Euro yen, euro yen, euro yen. Okay, so we bypassed 133.25. We didn't manage to stay above 133. Sorry, guys, I wasn't following the euro yen this week. Anyway, I think we can clear it off. In terms of resistance, I don't think we need 133.25. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, support trend line is still good for euro yen. Right now, we do have a little bit of support coming in at about maybe 132.50. I believe it's 132.50. Sorry, I'm just framing it. Okay. So, I know. I mean, if you take a look at Euro USD, it is a little bit more bearish than Pound USD. When we take a look at Euro Yen or Sterling Yen, we're looking at an asset class that's against the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen is weak, like super weak right now. So if we take a look at Euro Yen, we're still looking at a potential bounce off 132, 132.50. As long as we maintain a position above 132, we're still good for a potential long on the Euro Yen. Are we gonna get a buy right now from 132.50? Potentially yes or no. It depends on the stochastics. We need to see the stochastics cross back up above 20, and if we do see that and price turns around and it's still above 132.50 and 132, then this is the likely scenario. If we see a bounce somewhere between there and then it continues to create a new high above 134, maybe about 134.25, 134.50, that could be a good trade to look at. So I would be more cautious about this area here instead of focusing on the resistance here. I don't think it's much of a big deal in terms of resistance. Right now we're looking at a bounce off support. If we do see that bounce, by the way, why 132? That was basically what's capping the market before it breaks through. So 132 is definitely the key level to watch out for. If price is able to maintain a position above 132, then we're looking for further progress to happen in Euro Yen, at least this week, potentially towards 134 and potentially even higher, maybe 134.50. I'm not going to be looking at shorting anything against the Japanese yen. I think the Japanese yen is super weak right now. Risk sentiment has returned. I mean, we have that Ukraine war and all that fear and whatnot. That takes away the risk, but you know, as the condition gets better and we got stuff coming up from the FOMC, we know what the FOMC is going to be doing in terms of their rate hike. I mean, it's pretty well telegraphed. Jay Powell came out on Monday and they basically said, look, they might be hiking maybe 50 in May. I think the May meeting is going to be the focus, the QT, the quantitative tightening. I keep thinking about QE, but okay. It's QT, quantitative tightening. Quantitative tightening. That's where the balance sheet is going to get reduced for the FOMC. That's going to be announced in May. There might be another interest rate hike in May. Powell's hinting at 50, but we'll see what the condition is in the next month or so, and if it's still going to be 50. But I think market was pretty aggressive. Doesn't give much because we see the US dollar was a little bit weaker on the back of that comments, but we see risk return, stuff like S&P 500, the equity market, that was positive. Yen crosses are all up. I don't really want to go against that right now. I don't want to go long anything. You know, I want to go long Euro Yen. I want to go long Sterling Yen. I want to go long Aussie Yen. I want to go long Dollar Yen. I don't want to be shorting them because at this point in time the risk is just way too high. If you take a look at the movement and the yen crosses, not that obvious here, but if you have the dollar Japanese yen moving, 200-ish pips, 226 in a period of 2 days, For dollar Japanese yen, I think that's a lot, right? We were anticipating that breakthrough, but I just didn't expect that it was just going to shoot up like that. 220 pips to the upside. We're really looking at maybe 120, 120, 21. Sorry, 120, 121. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Really wasn't even looking at 121. I'll be honest with you, I was just aiming for 120 on the break of that 119. We were eyeing for that. There was a ascending triangle that was being formed constantly. It was again and again it was being formed. Support trend line is still pretty strong. And again, look, we're way above the Ishimoku cloud. Any bounce off 120, 119.50, I would still be looking for a long in terms of dollar yen, euro yen, sterling yen. Everything looks fine, right? Sorry. I know there were issues. There was a delay at the start. There was a disconnection just now. How's the audio? How's the video right now? Is everyone doing okay? Everyone still with me here? Everything looks fine? Okay. Euro Swiss, let's take a look at Euro Swiss. So yeah, I mean, if you guys are new about this session, that's basically anything that you guys want to request. I'm just gonna take a look at that. Euro Swiss. Let me get Euro Swiss. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at Euro Swiss in a very long time, and let me just frame it on the daily first, and then we'll just move in slowly. Euro Swiss, I think we're going to be looking at a potential rejection soon. This hit 61.8%. The daily, I think this should be a short if you're going to be swinging this. Stop losses above 1.04, 1.0450. Target wise, you are going to be looking at, sorry, I'm just framing this. We'll go in into the shorter time frame soon, but I'm just framing it. So is that right? 61.8. Stop losses at 0.00%, 78.6.770. Yep. Okay. So we are, sorry, I'm not going to be looking for just 61.8%, potentially towards 1. Yep, that's about right. I'll go for 78.6 at this point in time, and then we'll go into the hourly time frame, but daily seems to be the downside. Hourly, we have transition below the Ishimoku cloud. I think we're going to be looking for further weakness on Euro Swiss. This is a much bigger picture. If you do want to go short, then make sure you do so on the break below this low here. That is at 1.0260. I'll put it at 50. Okay, here we go. 1.0250. No, too far. There we go. Okay, if there's an hourly close below that low here, maybe around 1.0260, then we are going to be looking for a potential short. There's just a scenario. If the bigger one, that's for a daily perspective. If you're going to be looking for a much bigger target on the daily, that's what it is. It's not really huge. I mean, we're talking about 100 less than 200 pip range for the daily. On the hourly time frame, we are going to be looking for, oops. Okay. On the break of 1.0260, you can go short. Make sure your stop losses is closer to 1.0320. Okay, that should give you enough room. In terms of target, you don't really want to aim too much. Aim about 50% correction. That's right around the March 10th low. That's what it is. Risk reward ratio, you're going to be looking at about risking 60 pips for a potential gain of 71. Not that great. I don't think it's a great pair to trade, but I mean, if you're used to it, it's okay. I don't think Euro Swiss is for everyone. If you're familiar with Euro Swiss, that's okay. If you're not familiar with it, this is not considered ideal. This is actually considered to be an exotic currency. I don't really want to touch Euro Swiss ever since that collapsed in 2016. So unless it's part of a basket currencies, again, this is not for everyone. make sure that this is up to your taste. Sure you can. What crypto do you want? And we'll take a look at it. Gold. We'll take a look at gold. Okay, great. Dollar CAD have hard gain crossing today. I'm not sure what you mean by crossing, but I'll take a look at dollar Canadian. We were short dollar Canadian. I think we were all out anyway. So let me clear off dollar Canadian. Crossing on the Ichimoku. Is it going to be strong enough to get through that? On the hourly time frame, 4-hourly time frame, daily time frames, it's all looking very choppy. I mean, if we do transition above this, whatever it is, you want to have your stop losses below this swing, 1.2563. Wouldn't want to be looking for a buy until we break through above 1.2621. So keep that in mind. Dollar Canadian. I think the probability is going to be like this, but we'll see what happens. It's still going to be range bound. I mean, we didn't really get off the range really technically since this week. We're still progressing lower. I don't think today's going to be the day it's going to turn around, but that's going to be the range. I think it's a pretty huge range too. So we just had an early close. So only about 60 pip range. So I would prefer to just wait until we get through it. 1.2625 if you want to put it. That's where you want to be keeping an eye out for in terms of resistance, in terms of support. We can round this down to 1.25. I think 75 works. No, 60. Sorry. No, 60. Okay. That's basically what it is with dollar Canadian. It's range bound. It's inside the Ishimoku cloud, at least on the other time frame. So I don't think it's a great time to be looking for a position until we transition above 1.2625 if you're looking for a buy. But make sure your stop losses is going to be below 1.2563. That's about 60 pips in terms of stop losses if you're looking for a position in dollar Canadian. There's no interim support, so-called, on the dollar Canadian this week. So either you put your stop losses below 1.2560 or yeah, it's a huge risk at this point in time, at least on the dollar Canadian, because we haven't actually transitioned above the Ichimoku cloud. That's one. We're actually within the Ichimoku cloud. I don't think we're looking at a potential long on dollar Canadian. I think we're still looking for further weakness on dollar Canadian, at least at this stage. It's still range bound, but we'll see what happens. Okay, let's take a look at, I believe we want to take a look at gold, yeah? Gold's flat. I think one of the few reasons why I didn't touch this on the outlook is it's actually we don't see a lot of range changes in gold. So we're still hovering about 61.8. Let me just clear that off. Actually, we don't need that. I want to focus on 1920, 1900, 1875. Probably don't need that at this point in time. 1950, I still want to keep that open. Okay, intraday I'll look for gold. What we're looking at is a potential return towards 1920, but we're still going to be above 1900 at this point in time. But I'm not looking for a long in terms of gold until we break through the resistance trend line over here. As long as this resistance trend line stays, it's not going to go anywhere. If it does break above it, I mean, we're looking at about, close above 1930 if we want to see a break above that resistance trend line. If it does break above that, we're still capped by 1950. So, you're not really looking at a huge change. This is still pretty much range bound like that. So, if it does break above that, then yeah, potentially you could go long, but make sure your stop losses is, it's not way off. I don't think your stop losses should be 1900. I think 1915, 1910. That's probably it. Risk reward ratio is not that great. I'll be honest with you. We're still gonna be capped by 1950. Now with how FOMC is doing right now, and how this situation and how the risk is returning to the market, I don't think gold buyers are gonna jump in on this until we break above 1950. I'll be honest with you, I don't think gold is ideal. That's why I didn't cover this on the weekly outlook. It's actually flat in the middle. We have strong support coming in at 1920 and then 1900. If you do want to trade the range, it's still going to be range between 1950 to 1920. That's about $30 range. Right now, where it is right now, if it does break above 1930, 1935, above the resistance trend line, sure, you might want to trade it towards 1950, but your risk to reward ratio is not going to be great because the minimum stop loss you're going to have is at about 1917. That's still not going to give you a good risk reward ratio. You're going to be risking a lot more than what it is. If you want to go short right now, I don't want to go short gold until we break below 1920. If it does break below 1920, then yeah, the likely scenario is that we could see a potential move towards 1900. Let's flip this. So you got your long scenario if it does break above that resistance trend line on the early time frame at least. If it does break below 1920, then you want to be targeting 1900 and potentially 1875. Maybe your stop losses can be right around there. This one gives you a much better risk reward ratio than going long. Let me just adjust this. So yeah, that's going long on the right hand side. This is going short. Your risk reward ratio is much better going short than going long. At least if it does break below 1920. Don't want to do anything right now. I need to close below 1920, at least on the early time frame. If it does close below 1920, then yeah, stop losses about 1830, 1830, 1835. Target about 1900. I think that's one scenario. Or the other scenario is that we break above the resistance trend line. Your risk to reward ratio doesn't click. You're risking a lot more. You're risking about $15 for a return of about $14. Okay, yours is, that's good. Do you think the yen has strong resistance around 122 due to the last swing higher on that price in monthly chart? Still go long or need to wait for a significant retrace in daily chart first? Okay, that's a very good question on dollar yen. If you take a look at it from a daily perspective, I think we're far off. In terms of resistances, you really have to go through what? We're not even looking at 122, right? We're looking at closer to 124 in terms of resistance. So yeah, I think there's still room. Is it severely overbought? Yeah, I think it is. I didn't expect this kind of movement. That's one. But I mean, if the hourly bounces off 120, 120, 50, then yeah, I think we're going to be looking at a potential move higher than 121, 50, 122. But in terms of key resistances, I don't think we'll have anything until about 124. All right. 122 is really temporary. I think the main focus will be around 124, 225-ish. That's the one you want to focus on. 122 temporary. I think we're going to break through 122 easy on the dollar yen. But again, look, that's far. Right, I mean, I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect a run of 226 pip in 2.5 days on dollar yen. So I think this is great. I just don't want to go short anything. Dollar yen, euro yen, sterling yen. I don't really want to go short those. Okay, we talk about gold, Bitcoin. There's no notification on Telegram today. There's a live trading. I'll be honest, guys. I thought I was scheduled for Friday, so I was out. And then notification hits. I was like, good thing is I was actually on the way back, right? So I was a little bit delayed, but I was about to push this back an hour because I thought I couldn't make it. Okay, Bitcoin. Hourly looks I'm still okay on the hourly for hourly. It's all right. The hourly time frame. Let's look at the hourly time frame. This one it's actually not that tough. I mean, looking at this one, you actually have a cap there. We are bouncing off 42,000. Let me just draw this just to be safe. Okay, here's what it is. If it stays above 42,000, that's great for Bitcoin. If you're looking for a long in Bitcoin, make sure your stop losses is below 4180, 4180 should be okay. I much prefer to go long on the break of this resistance trend line. That means we are looking at a close above 42,500, and then your stop losses is about 41,800. Okay, that's about that. In terms of target, we are going to be looking at 43.2. Risk reward ratio is alright, 43,200, 41,800 as support. Okay. I want to go in on a close above 42,500. And so if there's a close above 42,500, that's what it is. Risk reward ratio is actually 1-to-1, so we are actually within a range. 700 up, 700 down, entry at 42,500. Pick a choice. I much prefer to wait for a close above 42,500 before I trigger a long on Bitcoin. The hour, 4 hourly and daily it's actually pretty flat. So we're looking at it from the hourly perspective. That is this actually there might be a potential this is gonna stay above the Ichimoku cloud, and if it does so by closing above 42,500. I would prefer to go long towards 43,200 and 41.80 as my stop loss. So it's about 1-to-1 risk reward ratio initially. Okay. Yeah, we already covered pound USD, but right now what I want to see is that I want to see a close above 1.32. I don't want to go short right now. This was just an example. If price is able to maintain a position above 1.32 and stochastics crosses over, then yeah, I would prefer to go long again on pound USD. But if it's not able to go back up above 1.32, then I will stay away until the stochastics does turn around. So yeah, Michael, you're right. If it does crosses up on the stochastics, then I much prefer to go long. Okay. What time frame is this? Depending. I normally look at the hourly time frame, but if you have any specific requests on any time frame that you want me to look at, feel free to just let me know. So yeah, for intraday trading, pound USD, if it stays above 1.32, that's what I'm looking for on pound USD. Okay. So, any other questions? Anything to add on? I think we're still working out the schedule. I'm not really I actually need to confirm my schedule. Is it going to be Wednesdays or Fridays? Team Octa, if you can fill me in on that one, that'll be great. Okay, Euro Pound, sure. Euro Pound. I'll be honest. I don't want to. I'll say it right now before I even look at the chart. I think the euro is going to be weaker than the pound USD. Anything goes wrong with Ukraine, Russia right now, euro is going to get it first, pound second. US probably last, but anyway. EU Council basically just put in more sanctions. I'm just checking on new updates here. Okay, so euro pound. What we are looking for is a potential correction. We are in that phase right now. We didn't close 23.6. We didn't close 23.6. We closed 23.6. Maximum correction for this one, maybe about 38.2. We are close to that. Potentially towards 50% where the Ichimoku cloud is going to be. That's right around there. Right. So around 83.50, that's where you might want to be looking for a short position. That's the likable scenario, but if the stochastic does cross again, then we might slide through. But But right now we are looking at a projection towards a correction towards 83.50. If it does bounces off, got rejected at 83.50, then yeah, we're going to be targeting even lower towards 83, 80, yeah, about 83. That will be right around correct. 83 0.83 is actually a pretty strong support. So if the stochastics does cross and price continues to move down, I would much prefer to wait for a break below 83 before going short on euro pound. So you got two scenarios, one that goes up towards 83.50, the other one closes below 83, and either way the projection is still to the downside for euro pound, right? So we either have that or we have this. I'll zoom it up, I'll move it up. Okay. So either price move towards 83.50 and give you a short. If price got rejected, having a stop losses above 83.75, that should be enough. 83.75 is way above that resistance on Monday. Or price closes below 83, and then we might have further projections maybe towards 82.75 to begin with. Risk to reward ratio is probably not that great. If the second scenario happens, I think the first scenario is much preferred. That will give you less risk. If this scenario happens, then your risk is actually going to be pretty high. You're actually risking a lot more. You're risking about 38.1 pip versus 25.7. Okay, so this is scenario number one. Price move up towards 83.50. Got rejected. That's why I want to go short. Stop loss above 83.75, targeting 83. That's my preferred scenario. This is the other scenario. I don't like this one. The risk is just way too big than the potential rewards. You made the notification icon. Yeah. If stochastics turn, price is still below 1.32 for pound USD. Is it okay to go long or we wait above 1.32? I think it's okay. Here's the thing about pound USD, right? I don't really care what it is. I much prefer to stay above 1.32. But if you take a look at my outlook this week, anything above 1.3 is still good for pound USD. And if it stays above 1.31, that's even better, right? Let me just zoom out for a little bit. That's what it is. If it stays above 1.3, I'm actually pretty happy. Stays above 1.31, that's great. Stays above 1.32, that's even better. Okay, we still have a lot of momentum for the pound USD, so I'm not really too worried. I would see the turnaround on the stochastics. I think that would be about enough. In terms of Fibonacci projections, you kind of actually can project the base here. Right now we're about 61.8. That's why I highlighted with the yellow box. We're not really looking too far off 1.3150 at this point in time. Maybe about 1.3160. That's about 78.6% of the current retracement. Should be good. As long as it's within this box, it should be good. The only concern just now was that I didn't say go long or anything right now. I was worried because the Ichimoku cloud is actually pretty thin. That's about it. If it does maintain a position above 1.32, above 1.3175, then it should be okay. Do I think it's better to look for an opportunity to buy pound sterling pairs? Yes. Sterling USD, sterling yen. Look, if you guys don't know, inflation year on year for the month of February for UK was 6.1. The expected result was 5.9%. So it's actually Bank of England is likely going to hike rates again, and that's giving it a boost. The market's trying to picture it in. But I think inflation is going to stay for a bit because of oil prices and whatnot. Okay. Usual Tuesday and Thursday live session for Telegram subscriber already and for good. For now, yes. That's why I changed it to posts. We're going to be updating it on posts. Until further notice, I think that would be the case for now. Because that's partly because of my scheduling conflict anyway. To begin with, it was always a post. I just did the live outlook more as a bonus than anything else. We already talked about Euro USD, so please rewind that on Euro USD. Aussie CAD, we'll take a look at two more and then we have to wrap it up for tonight. Aussie CAD, look, I don't want to go short anything Aussie. Aussie CAD, Aussie Yen, Aussie New Zealand, Aussie USD. I think Aussie is still pretty much the option there, except for Aussie New Zealand. Maybe you can skip that up. Aussie CAD, in terms of oil or nickel or commodities, I think there's a lot more demand for nickel at this point in time. That's going to be boosting up the Aussies. Aussie Canadian, if you're going to be holding long, I don't think it's going to be a problem. If you take a look at it from a daily perspective, this is going to be a fib swing. If we do close above 78.6, which is about 94 cents, then yeah, we are going to be looking at further progress towards 94, potentially towards 95. No, so not really concerned for Aussie CAD. In terms of stop losses, your intraday stop losses, if you want to adjust it, maybe you want to adjust it towards 93.50, 93.75, but would much prefer to have it at 93.50, below 93.50 at this point in time. If you're going to be holding this for longer, you don't want to have your stop loss too close. You still want to have it about 92.90, below 93 cents. Okay, so let's have a quick look at US 30 and the S&P 500. US 30, I'm good. Above 34,500, all the key levels are we've gone past that. I mean, if we talk about looking into buying sterling yen, sterling USD, Euro yen, we're looking at the same sentiment in the equity market. I think the equity market is still good. What I want to watch out for today is 34,500. If we stay above 34,500, we're good. I want to be looking for a buy in the equity market, at least today. In terms of VIX, we're still stable, so that's still good. That's a US 30 for you. Nasdaq, same situation. I think we bypassed a lot of stuff here on Nasdaq. Let me just clear this fib off. We're still good. Are we? Yeah, for now. Not for long, though. You got to be careful with Nasdaq here because the daily is coming up. It's coming through the Shimoku cloud. Are we projecting anything on Nasdaq? Tough. Okay. This is a bit tough, but I mean, if you take a look at the divergence here, it's likely going to be a hidden bullish divergence. So let's wait for a pullback to happen. It's too short for a correction. Maybe about 50% or 38.2%. Maybe about 14,500. That's why you want to watch out for today. If it bounces off 14,500, I think that would be an option if you want to go long 14,500. Just wait for the stochastic to turn around. This is the same situation as the pound USD with 1.32. So not much of a difference. Sorry, let me adjust that. Okay, so I think if you take a look at this one here, if we're still above 14,500 and we're able to maintain that, I think that would be great. It's just that stop loss wise, I don't think we have anything until we bounces off this, but maybe about 14,400, that's about it. In terms of target, you don't want to be looking for anything above 15,000 at this point in time. I think that would be the limit for Nasdaq in the short term. Would be happy to have this about 14,750. That would still give you a lot of risk reward ratio. It's still good. Okay, so Euro yen. Please type in your questions in English. I know I can read whatever you guys are typing in, but for the sake of everyone else, this is an English session, and I want you to type your question in English. That'll be great. If I can read it, I'll help out. I'll help out with the transition, but going forward, please do type it in English, and we'll take a look at that. Okay. Oh, thanks for typing it in English. Bearish divergence for Ali, but they were rejected from a strong resistance on daily. I should go long or short. Thanks before. For Ali time frame, is there a divergence? Yes, there is a slight divergence. I wouldn't really consider this a divergence because we technically didn't have a swing. If you take a look at the daily time frame, I'll give you the context of stuff. We haven't even touched 127.2. In terms of momentum, are we capable of reaching 127.2? Potentially, yes. I just don't want to go short yen anything. So I would actually be looking for a buy in yens. Sorry, euro yen or sterling yen. I want to go short on yens, right? I mean yen. Yen is a counter currency. So yeah. Right now I'm looking for a bounce at 132.50, 132, as long as it holds above 132 and above this rising support trend line. That's what I'm looking for in euro yen. So yeah, I'm actually looking for a potential buy. Okay, as long as it stays above 132. If it bounces off 132.50, it's great, right? If it stays above 132, that's even better. So in any ways, I'm just waiting for the stochastics to turn around, at least on the hourly time frame. In terms of the 4-hourly time frame or the daily time frame, I don't classify this as a divergence. This is not a class A bearish divergence. We don't have a full cycle on this one, and overall, if you zoom out and take a look at how price is moving, you don't want to go short on anything at this point in time. Any divergences that shows up is likely going to trigger a correction, not a change in trend. Intraday wise, I'll still focus on the hourly time frame. If it stays above 132, great. If it closes below 132, then I want to stay away because I don't want to go short euro yen. The risk is just too big to go short euro yen. Okay. Okay. So I think we can wrap it up for tonight. It's a great session. Again, I do apologize for the delay. I think it was a little bit of a miscommunication in terms of the schedule and whatnot, and I was actually caught in traffic anyway. So yeah, okay. Thanks for the update. The schedule is for today. Are we doing Friday? If the rejection from strong resistance on the daily cannot break out, it can double top and open short. I don't want to go short euro yen. That's what I'm trying to say. Just really don't want to go short euro yen at this point in time. There's just too much risk, and there is no double top. We have surpassed the previous highs. So yeah, even on the October high, we already passed that in terms of price level. So there's not going to be a double top. This is not a double top formation, so don't worry too much about it. Okay. So just to double check, we are scheduled for Wednesdays, Fridays. Okay. Thanks, guys. It's been great. By the way, today, just keep an eye out on Ukraine. Just keep an eye out on Ukraine. I'm expecting news to come out from Ukraine in terms of the development between the, how the US and the Euro is gonna react to it. They're gonna put more sanctions because I don't trust how Biden is. We were waiting for that call between Biden and Xi Jinping on Friday. We got a call. It was good, but now I think they're really cornering Putin at this point in time. So I really want to be watching out for any news that comes out about Ukraine and Russia today. So tension is building up. Don't think that it's past. It's not done yet. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michael. Have a great night. Stay safe. And I'll see you soon.